The Louisiana Purchase. Background. In 1802, Jefferson was concerned that Spain would return the Louisiana territory to the French, a truly formidable enemy with thoughts of building a major French presence with Napoleon's full support. Jefferson expressed his concerns to Pierre Dupont, quote, "This little event of France's possessing herself of Louisiana is the embryo of a tornado which will burst on the countries on both sides of the Atlantic and involve in its effects their highest destinies." End of quote. As the United States expanded westward to the Mississippi River, navigation on the Mississippi became as important to the western states as the Great Lakes to the Erie Canal to the Hudson River and on to New York City, the Atlantic, and Europe. The new state of Ohio, recently admitted into the Union, was especially dependent on the Mississippi, especially in southern Ohio. The new state of Ohio, recently admitted into the Union, was especially dependent on the Mississippi, especially in southern Ohio. Likewise, the Indiana Territory was as well. This was no small matter, with France capable of bottling up trade at the choke point of New Orleans at the bottom of the river. A week later, Jefferson wrote the American minister to France, Robert Livingston, quote, "Every eye in the United States is now fixed on this affair in Louisiana. Perhaps nothing since the Revolutionary War has produced more uneasy sensations through the body of the nation," unquote. Strong words from an astute thinker and politician, President Jefferson. Spain's control of the Mississippi had been less worrisome. A conflict over the use of the Mississippi River had been resolved in 1795 with a treaty in which Spain affirmed the Americans' right to use the river to deliver goods to ocean-going vessels in New Orleans. Jefferson also felt the Spanish were far weaker than the French and less warlike at the time. In a letter to Livingston, he said, quote, "Spain might have retained New Orleans quietly for years. Her pacific dispositions, her feeble state would induce her to increase our facilities there so that her possession of the place would be hardly felt by us," unquote. He went on to suggest the outcome that he hoped for and France finally delivered. Quote, "It would not perhaps be very long before some circumstance might arise which might make the cession of it to us the price of something of more worth to her," unquote. In other words, America should be prepared to make such a purchase and or trade. Napoleon's ascendancy made all the difference. Before Napoleon, France had surrendered its North American possessions at the end of the French and Indian War. New Orleans and Louisiana, west of the Mississippi, were transferred to Spain in 1762, and French territories east of the Mississippi to England in 1763. Napoleon changed this calculus when taking over France in 1799. He was known to aspire to creating a French empire in the Americas. This reached the boiling point in October 1802 when Spain transferred the territory to France and America temporarily lost access to New Orleans. Jefferson and Madison worked to resolve things diplomatically. The Federalists talked war. As things heated up, Jefferson sent James Monroe to join the American minister Livingston in France as a minister extraordinary to help snuff out the threats of disunion in the United States over this. Jefferson then sought to fund an expedition over the territory by appealing to Congress for funds. After the purchase, this became known as the Lewis and Clark Expedition. Jefferson appointed his close confidant and personal friend, James Monroe, later to be the 5th president, who had the additional attribute of owning land in the western territory of Kentucky and being a known friend to Western interests that wanted to secure the Mississippi for the United States. Jefferson wrote Monroe, "We have, quote, unlimited confidence in you as we do the administration and the Western people. All eyes, all hopes are now fixed on you. For on this event depends the future destinies of this republic," unquote. Strong words indeed. Jefferson calmed things down by writing various Western governors, such as James Girard of Kentucky, to inform him of Monroe's appointment and to assure him Monroe is fully empowered to enter into, quote, arrangements that may eventually secure our rights to the Mississippi and in the country eastward of that, unquote. Jefferson noted in that letter to Girard and others that Livingston and Monroe's mission was to